For years, it looked like no one could hurt George Clooney, a man who had everything. He had fame, beauty, a reason to live, and the woman who made him believe in life. It was beautiful and funny in the pictures, but something darker started to appear behind them. The man, who used to be charming and funny, started to show cracks that only his close friends and family could see. When he finally did talk about what went wrong, it wasn't a pretty story. It broke my heart. He went from being Hollywood's perpetual bachelor to a loving husband. Once upon a time, in the early 1990s, George Clooney had a short but painful relationship with actress Talia Balsam. After that, he swore he would never get married again. In appearances, he made fun of it by saying that he wasn't very good at marriage. Clooney was busy with film sets, politics, and other things while his friends got married, causes, and laughing late at night. From the outside, he looked very happy with his freedom. But behind closed doors, there was always a quiet loneliness that fame can't take away. After that, everything changed in 2013. A friend of theirs set him up with someone from outside his world during a quiet summer at his house on Lake Co. Amal Alamuddin is a great human rights lawyer who went to Oxford and New York University. She didn't get excited about Hollywood or the attention. George later said, when she walked into his house, it was like something shifted. Everything was different on every level. They started dating right away, and by April 2014, Clooney was on one knee in his kitchen, nervously waiting for her to open a drawer where he had hidden the ring. Amal said yes, and in the end, he said, "I'm 52 years old and my knee's going to give out soon." They got married in Venice, Italy, in September of that year, in front of friends, cameras, and a world that thought this was the fairy tale ending. For a while, it was. Clooney went from drinking late at night to being a family man. When their twins, Ella and Alexander, were born in 2017, he called it the best moment of his life. The couple built a home in Provence, started the Clooney Foundation for Justice, and became a symbol of smarts and glitz coming together. She fought cases before the UN and the International Criminal Court, and he directed and acted in many movies. The Clooneys had been married for over 10 years, which in Hollywood terms is a lifetime. To the public, they were still perfect, walking red carpets together, raising twins, and appearing at global events. But away from the cameras, their lives were going in different directions. Amal had taken on a prestigious teaching position at the University of Oxford, while George was getting ready for his long-awaited Broadway debut in Good Night and Good Luck. For the first time in years, they weren't just emotionally distant. They were living on different continents. People close to the couple told Radar Online that this wasn't the usual separation of, there was a deeper, quiet trial separation, but neither wanted to say it out loud. Amal and the kids stayed in England, where she was busy with school. George, on the other hand, spent long nights practicing in New York City, sometimes drinking a drink he said he had given up years ago in his apartment after curtain call. "It hasn't been easy being this far apart," a source said. "They've been drifting. Not fighting, just fading." Clooney had said he and Amal never fought. An interview with CBS Mornings in April 2025, he smiled and said, "We still haven't found anything to fight about." It sounded like a dream, a happy, stress-free marriage. But later, relationship experts said that such peace could hide something dangerous. Silence. When couples don't fight, they often hold back hurt, disappointment, and exhaustion until they have nothing left to say. Amal's life in Oxford was full of purpose, lectures, students, and casework at The Hague. George admired her, but that admiration sometimes came with a pang of guilt. He told the New York Times that when they met, he didn't think they had a chance because she was 17 years younger, brilliant, and already had everything she needed. That difference, which used to be charming, had started to feel like a gap. He was 64, she was 47, and their lives were moving at different speeds. The relapse, a night that changed everything. The breaking point didn't happen with yelling or betrayal. It came in the form of a single night that started with applause and ended with regret. Everyone who saw them at the Tony Awards in New York thought they looked beautiful, in sync, and glowing under the lights. But as the night went on, the line between celebration and escape began to blur. After years of self-discipline, George decided to drink like he had never drunk before. He later admitted in Esquire magazine that he ended the night like he had never drunk before. The next day, he was sick and embarrassed, but he tried to laugh it off. The public found the story funny, but Amal did not. Friends who spoke to Radar online said she was furious. For her, it wasn't about one night of drinking. It was about what it meant. She admired how hard he worked to stay sober, one insider said. Seeing him brag about getting drunk really upset her. It reminded her of the man George used to be, the younger actor who used to show up to film sets drunk and treat drinking like a joke. She fell in love with the man who had grown up and become a husband, a father, and a partner she could rely on. When George tried to downplay what happened, Amal drew a line in the sand. She told him that her drinking wasn't something she was willing to overlook, the source added. Those words cut deep. For a man who took pride in being in control, being confronted by his wife, the woman who had once called him her anchor, made him face something terrifying. He was slipping. Friends said the weeks that followed were tense and quiet. They went back to their home. There was a $8.3 million estate in Provence with olive trees, a vineyard, and silence. It was supposed to be their refuge, but the silence made the distance between them bigger. Amal worked from home in the mornings on legal cases, while George walked around the gardens practicing lines for his Broadway show. At dinner, the conversation was polite but not deep. A family friend explained that she doesn't find wild nights out charming or funny because she has 2 young children, a demanding career, and a strong sense of order that George doesn't always share. She doesn't want careless behavior to mess up their family life, which is why she doesn't think it's funny or charming. Some close friends of George and Amal said that they were going through what they called a trial separation. Amal took their twins to England to teach at Oxford, while George stayed in New York to pursue a dream that had been brewing for decades, a Broadway debut. It didn't look like a problem from the outside. George was proud of Amal's work, and Amal told her co-workers that she was supportive of his stage commitments. But behind closed doors, the time apart had grown short. They tried to FaceTime every day to share small moments like Ella's drawings, Alexander's laughter, and bedtime stories. But as the weeks turned into months, the distance became more than just physical. One insider said that they're used to being apart for a few days, but this is different and testing them in ways they didn't expect. Amal's life in Oxford was full of responsibility, like teaching law and handling high-profile international cases. George's life on Broadway, on the other hand, was full of long rehearsals, late-night shows, and the quiet silence that comes after applause. They were living in different worlds. Neither was wrong. They were both just trying to live their purpose. But love can weaken when it's stretched too far between 2 goals. The tabloids were cruel. Headlines talked about growing strain, distance, and divorce rumors. What made the story so believable was that neither of them denied it. According to friends, Amal saw the time they spent apart as a necessary time to reflect. George, on the other hand, saw it as exile. He missed the noise of family, like hearing Amal in the kitchen and the kids running through the house. For him, New York wasn't freedom. It was loneliness dressed up as an opportunity. And yet, just when rumors were at their highest, they showed up at the Venice International Film Festival in August 2025, walking hand in hand and smiling as if nothing had ever gone wrong. Cameras flashed, crowds cheered, and for a moment everything seemed perfect again. Amal looked radiant, and George looked calm. It was the picture everyone wanted to see. The Clooneys were safe again. But there were doubts behind that calm exterior. Were they just doing what they knew how to do so well? Or were they really trying to get back together? As one friend put it, they're both very good at keeping their private life shut off, but sometimes what looks like peace is just quiet sadness. People were interested in Amal Clooney's interview with Charlotte Tilbury for Glamour magazine in the fall of 2025 because it was about her friendship with Charlotte. But what really got people's attention were the rare words she said about her husband. It had been months since Amal had talked about George in public, and what she said revealed more than anything else. She told the reporter, "I have a partner in life who is so supportive of what I do." She looked at George, who kept coming in and out of the room while they talked. He was the first person to tell me, You have this speech at the Security Council. When I became a mom. I'll watch the kids. Do it now. Those words put an end to the rumors that had been going around about them for a year, but it was hard to miss the pain behind them. Amal sounded thankful but also worn out, like someone remembering.